Tonight on NewsWatch, more snow and ice. Another winter storm across a number of states isn't just inconvenient, it is downright dangerous and deadly.
Plus, machine gun preacher Sam Childers talks about a recent FBI raid on his ministry and why he's not worried.
And a bold confrontation goes viral. How one German woman took a public stand to tell the truth about Islam. All this and more tonight on NewsWatch. Good evening, everyone. I'm George Thomas.
And I'm Wendy Griffith. Well, an intense winter shows no signs of letting up. Much of the nation is in the grip of a freezing time right now.
Yeah, and it's not just cold, it's turned deadly in many cases. And tragically, several people have died in accidents caused by this latest series of winter storms. And nearly 500,000 homes and businesses, well, they're still without power. We have top story team coverage beginning with CBN's Charlene Israel.
Wicked winter weather brought another day of complicated travel across much of the nation. At airports alone, Thursday, thousands of flights canceled, leaving more than 5 million passengers stranded.
I was anticipating going home on Thursday, had plans for Friday, but that's now going to be canceled.
The powerful system will dump snow from Philadelphia and Washington up through New York and into New England. Schools up and down the East Coast have been closed.
I'm played out with the snow. This make my job twice as hard.
The latest winter storm has been deadly, with more than a dozen deaths blamed on accidents in treacherous conditions. In Raleigh, North Carolina, people abandoned their cars on frozen roads, and many ran for cover after one trapped car caught fire.
Don't put your stupid hat on at this point in time. Protect yourself, protect your family, protect your neighbors. Let's protect each other.
Hundreds of thousands of homes and businesses have lost power in the Carolinas and Georgia, where ice and wind gusts snapped power lines and tree limbs. The roof of one North Carolina church collapsed. And in Georgia, this woman's daughter was nearly crushed when a pine tree fell on her home.
Hearing the tree crack and watching it fall from my window and landing on my daughter's room was very traumatic.
Forecasters expect things to begin improving in the southeast Friday, but the storm may stay longer in the northeast. Now to David Brody with more on the winter storm from our nation's capital. David?
Well, Washington, D.C. is known for being an absolute political mess. Today, it's more like a snowy, disastrous mess. There is wind, there is snow, and there is no federal government at this point. And what I mean by that is they are closed. Not that the federal government has gone away, though a lot of people might want that to happen. But the federal government shut down today. A lot of trains shut down, hundreds of flights delayed in the Washington, D.C. area. In essence, this area has come to a virtual standstill. However, we did find someone delivering the mail. Rain, sleet, or snow, right?
That's right. We have to be here. We're very essential.
The governors of Virginia and Maryland have both declared states of emergency. There's more than a foot of snow, not just here in Washington, but in the surrounding areas. As a matter of fact, there's a lot more than a foot of snow, sometimes up to 1.5 feet of snow. There are some workers that actually tried to make it into work today. It was an interesting experience.
My office is 2 blocks away that I'm going to go work at, and I think I'll be the only one in our national office for the firm that I work with.
The good news here in Washington is the snow should be tapering off later on Thursday. The bad news is that Friday becomes cleanup day. David Brody, CBN News in Washington.
David, George just told me it's your birthday. Happy birthday. Sorry you had to spend it outside in the cold. Well, in other news, the Obama administration says about 1 million people signed up for Obamacare in January. That's the first time the new health law has met a target since its botched launch last October. So far, nearly 3.3 million people have signed up. That's more than 1 million short of the overall goal. However, what's unclear is how many of those signups were previously uninsured or whether they lost their insurance due to Obamacare, and administrators didn't report how many people actually paid their premiums.
President Obama has repeatedly made changes by himself to his health care law when it's run into problems. The public, they don't like that. In a new Fox News poll, 60% say they disapprove of the president going around Congress, while 37% approve. The president has often said he will take action as necessary with or without Congress.
Religious groups in Pennsylvania, given injunctions against the Obamacare's contraceptive mandate, are facing a new challenge. State attorneys are appealing the ruling. In 2 different cases, judges ruled in favor of various Catholic organizations. One judge even said being forced to carry out the birth control mandate could cause them to lose donations, employees, and even have to close some of their programs that serve the communities, along with facing harsh and crippling fines.
Kentucky voters are being told the gay marriage ban they approved is unconstitutional. Federal Judge John Hayburn ruled it so and says the state must recognize gay marriage from other states. The ruling does not require the state to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples. It's the latest in a string of rulings in favor of gay marriage following last year's Supreme Court decision ordering the federal government to recognize same-sex marriages.
Pennsylvania pastor Sam Childers is best known for his charitable work rescuing kidnapped children in Africa. Now, the man known as the machine gun preacher is the subject of a possible federal investigation. Gary Lane has more.
Last year, Sam Childers received the Mother Teresa Humanitarian Award for freeing African kids from the clutches of the infamous Lord's Resistance Army. Last week, he was on the receiving end of the long arm of the law. While Childers was busy helping children on another continent, FBI agents were raiding his home and ministry headquarters in Somerset County, Pennsylvania.
I was told they come in, guns drawn, told everyone to put their hands in the air, patted everyone down. They made them all leave the building, put my daughter into an enclosed room, and they started their search. We suspect that they were searching, for things showing that I'm smuggling arms to Africa and selling them, which is totally crazy.
Childers says the shipping container was full of clothing for the orphans, and most of them were ruined. He believes the federal action came at the urging of his former son-in-law, who is accused of stealing thousands of dollars from the ministry. Childers thinks it may be part of a plea agreement in the case. The FBI wouldn't comment. Childers believes the FBI agents overreacted.
Instead of going crazy and spending thousands and thousands of tax dollars, why didn't they just go and talk to the people that packed the containers?
They're members of his church, Childers says. Many over 50 years of age who have been doing this for the past 2 years.
I've done a lot of things that I ain't proud of.
The Pennsylvania pastor's life story was told in the movie Machine Gun Preacher, starring actor Gerard Butler. It detailed his leaving a life of crime and drugs, following Christ, and starting rescue and orphanage ministry in South Sudan. He's currently there, helping children trapped in South Sudan's civil war. He's taken in at least 18 orphans, including an 11-year-old boy he found roaming the streets of Kampala, Uganda.
His parents were killed right before his eyes, was sleeping on the streets of Kampala for 2 weeks, just eating garbage. We have rescued him. He's at one of my homes in Kampala.
Childers says he expects to hear more from the FBI once he returns home, but knows his battle really isn't with them.
It definitely is a spiritual attack. It doesn't matter what they do to me, God is in control, and he still has victory.
Gary Lane, CBN News.
To hear more from Sam Childers, go to cbnnews.com and look for Gary's blog. It's called The Global Lane.
Kazakhstan government agents have prevented a prominent Christian television broadcaster from leaving the country to attend this year's National Religious Broadcasters Conference. Bishop Maxim Maximov, head of Kazakhstan's New Life Churches and founder of Russian-language CNL TV, will miss this year's event. Maximov says government agents removed him and his wife from a U.S.-bound airplane and then placed them in detention. Kazakh Christians say Maximov's treatment is just another example of growing government restrictions against religious freedom in their country.
It's unbelievable. Well, coming up, the latest on humanitarian relief in the Central African Republic, even as some Christians there hold out hope for peace amidst all the violence.
And welcome back to the show. 65 Taliban prisoners are set free in Afghanistan. U.S. leaders denounced the move by Afghan President Hamid Karzai. He made the decision after taking a more hostile tone toward the United States ahead of troop withdrawals later this year. U.S. forces in Afghanistan say some of the men are responsible for killing or wounding dozens of U.S. and Afghan soldiers and could do so again. They're also accused of making bombs that killed civilians.
Hamas recently celebrated the graduation of 13,000 teenagers from a terrorist training program. The camps are called Pioneers of Liberation. Students grades 10 through 12 undergo weapons training, first aid, self-defense, and classes on identifying Israeli spies. At the graduation ceremony, Hamas's prime minister encouraged women to engage in terrorist operations and follow in the footsteps of the female suicide operatives. CBN News has reported on similar jihad summer camps in Gaza that encourage Palestinian children to violently take back their homes from Israel. You can find the story linked to this one on our website, cbnnews.com.
Now to the Central African Republic, where the United Nations is warning of ethnic cleansing. For weeks, Christians and Muslims have engaged in violent attacks and counterattacks. This as international peacekeepers, they struggle to stop the bloodletting. A 747 carrying critical supplies landed in the Central African Republic.
This is a lifeline that will allow us to bring immediately emergency food relief to the people who've been affected by the conflict here in the Central African Republic.
The UN says what's happening in this country is a humanitarian disaster of unspeakable proportion.
There is an ethno-religious cleansing that is taking place and that we must stop at all costs.
After enduring months of daily attacks, rape and torture by Muslim rebels, a Christian militia group called Anti-Balaka is now retaliating with brutal violence, forcing tens of thousands of Muslims to flee.
What we've seen around the country is enormous forced expulsion of the Muslim population and anti-Balaka control of the roads and of the towns all across the country.
70 miles from the country's capital city, Father Xavier Vagba has opened the doors of his church to more than 700 Muslims seeking protection from anti-Balaka forces. He told BBC News it was time someone stood in the gap for peace and reconciliation.
Right now, there are towns in which you have hundreds of Muslims taking refuge in churches because it's the places that they believe are safest from possible anti-Balaka attacks. And some of those populations are completely unprotected.
There are now reports that Muslim rebels in the north are being joined by Islamic fighters from neighboring countries, and they are regrouping to launch revenge attacks against Christians, forcing many Muslims and Christians to pack up their belongings in preparation to flee.
There is nothing for us here. We are all suffering, our wives, our children.
Some 6,000 peacekeeping soldiers have been deployed, but so far have been powerless to stop the religious violence. And by the way, some of those international peacekeepers discovered a mass grave in the capital city this week. An eyewitness report seeing at least a dozen decomposed bodies at a military camp reportedly run by Muslim rebels. It is still unclear who committed the killings.
And up next, she's known on the internet simply as the brave German woman. And this phone video of her has gone viral. Find out what she did and why when we come back.
Islam is still growing in power and influence across Europe.
And in Germany, one Christian woman has taken a very public stand against it. In this CBN News exclusive, Dale Hurd brings us her first television interview.
It was supposed to be an interfaith concert to bring Christianity and Islam together. But when the Muslim imam began his call to prayer, he was interrupted by a small woman in the balcony proclaiming that Jesus Christ is Lord of Germany and saying, "I break this curse." She also invoked the name of Martin Luther and warned the audience that what was happening was a lie. The video went viral, and this mysterious Christian lady became known on the internet simply as the brave German woman. It happened at the Memorial Church of the Reformation in the Rhineland city of Speyer, built to honor Martin Luther. This isn't just a church. It's a monument to the Protestant Reformation and a memorial to the spiritual transformation of Germany as a nation. And it was at this spiritual landmark that a Muslim imam was invited to give the call to prayer in a concert. When the brave German woman, whose real name is Heidi Mundt, heard about the event, she prayed.
I was asking Jesus, I said, Lord, shall I go there? And there was so you know, when I have to drive 1.5 hours, so I think about, is it worth to go or can others go? And so this is, I think, a human laziness, yes?
She grabbed her German flag emblazoned with the words, Jesus Christ is Lord, and she went to the concert, still not sure what she would do when she got there.
Till the imam started with his shouting, I did not really know what to do. I had my thoughts, but I was not sure. I was just prepared for what God wants me to do.
Then the Muslim call to prayer began, and Heidi said she felt something rising up inside her.
I would call it an holy anger. And then I rose my flag, and I was proclaiming that Jesus Christ is Lord over Germany.
Jesus Christus allein ist Herr über Deutschland. Ich zerbreche diesen Fluch.
And by purpose, I broke this curse, because this Allahu Akbar, they say with it, only Allah is the Lord. Yeah? He is Lord, He is God, and the only God. And I broke this curse in this church, and I broke it over my country.
And she repeated the words of Martin Luther in 1521, after he refused to recant his faith in Scripture alone. Here I stand. I can do no other.
Und ich stehe hier und ich kann nicht anders. Es ist die Kirche von Martin Luther. Ich stehe hier und ich kann nicht anders. Das ist ein Konzert für den Frieden. Nein, ist es nicht. Allahu Akbar wird gerufen, wenn gemordet wird. Lasst euch nicht täuschen. Lasst euch nicht täuschen. Es ist eine Lüge.
She was thrown out of the church.
They should have thrown the imam out of the church and not me, because I'm a believer in Jesus Christ, but he serves another God. This Allah is not the same God, and this is not the truth. This Allahu Akbar, so I think in general most of us know they use it when they kill people. This is, for me, it's an worship to an idol. Yeah, to their God. It's a worship, and they bring this blood offering to their God. And when the Muslims call Allahu Akbar in a church, that means this church is not a church anymore, it's a mosque.
With Heidi at the concert was Kamel and Marian. Before coming to Germany, Kamel lived in the Muslim world, and he told us that an imam has no place in a church.
Islam is one of the reasons for persecution. Muslims have persecuted me. They don't want me to tell others that Jesus Christ is my Savior.
Marian belongs to an anti-Islamization group calling itself the White Rose, taking the same name as the World War II anti-Nazi resistance group, shown in the film Sophie Scholl, The Final Days.
Islam is inhuman, the same as in the Nazi time. For me, personally, there is no difference. We want to show Germany and the world that we will not bow down to the slow Islamization of our country.
Heidi knows that her first television interview could place her in even greater danger.
People asked me, do you have fear? Are you afraid of the Muslims? And I only can say, no, I'm not afraid of them. I know my God, the living God of the Bible, can protect me as long as He wants. When my time is over, I will go to Him.
An evangelist by gifting, Heidi grew up as an atheist in communist East Germany, but now as a believer. Her burden and her ministry is for the spiritual rebirth of Germany.
I feel I have to protect my country and my people. I'm only a little woman, but I feel I have to protect them.
Dass so jemand hier sprechen kann wie Hitler! Ich schäme mich! Wo seid ihr? Warum steht ihr nicht auf in unserem Land? Warum nicht?
Many people associate Germany with the Nazis, but Germany was once a base for world missions, sending missionaries to Africa, Korea, and to America. Heidi Munt is trusting God to do a miracle in what today is a very wealthy, and some would say, spiritually dead nation.
Well, nothing is impossible for my God. Nothing. Nothing, nothing, nothing. From a human point of view, I feel that our country is lost. It's already lost. It's done. But I trust God that He has a plan A, and that my country is not lost, that He will reach us and He will come and change the whole situation.
Dale Hurd, CBN News in Western Germany.
And finally tonight, a pizza that's good for your heart. Well, sort of, for Valentine's.
Yeah, an Ohio pizza restaurant chain is donating $1 from every pizza sold to the American Heart Association. De Felice Pizza's owner, Dom, was diagnosed with a restrictive heart condition when he was young. He's raised more than $35,000 in the past 30 years.
You know, they like it and they respond well, so we keep doing it. It gives us an opportunity to donate back to the American Heart Association, too. It's actually your money that goes to them. You know, we just collect it for them.
It's pretty cool. Well, you know, it's not just Valentine's Day treat. Customers can purchase their pizzas the entire weekend. Well, what a way to show love to people who
There it is.
never met.
I want to see that
cool?
again.
Isn't that cool?
Look at that picture. That is so cool. I've never seen a heart-shaped pizza. And that's my favorite kind, just pepperoni.
Producers, you guys know how to make us all hungry.
Extra pepperoni
Okay,
and
stop.
extra sauce.
Stop it. Yeah,
I'm so hungry right
Yeah,
now.
the producers just said, everybody wants pizza right
I know.
now.
Let's get pizza for dinner.
Okay.
Amen. All right. Well, that's settled. We know what we're having for dinner. That's all for this edition of Newswatch.
Remember, you can email us your comments and questions at cbnnews.com. We hope you will join us again next time. Hopefully we are here, not at the restaurant eating our pizza. From all of us here in the control room and in the studio, have a great night.
Okay,